Good morning. Now I normally start my videos either with a little bit of B-roll or just suddenly appearing and saying good morning, welcome to today's video, etc. I thought because this particular video was such a flipping disaster, I'd show you what you don't normally see. Now, I'm the first to admit that my videos are not the slickest because A, I don't have the money for all the expensive gear, and B, I'm not actually that bothered about it. I'm more interested in making photos. So I planned this trip and I got excited, which was probably my first mistake because the forecast was for mist and fog and I was going to a new location. It was going to be more of a recce visit than anything because I hadn't been there before, but it got me excited. So I headed off. I'd done all my planning and set off the night before because I wanted to be there for sunrise. Found a sleepy spot right on the doorstep. Had a cracking night's sleep and got up the next morning all excited, full of the joys of spring, or should that be winter, and headed off. I don't know where to begin today. I ventured down. Oh, I'm encroaching on somebody else's area. Oh, crikey, that light's funny, isn't it? I'm not really jaundiced. I've come down to visit Home Fen, simply because it's an hour and a smidge from my parents' house. I'm there for the weekend, just getting stuff done, and this was the closest place to me. Today is Sunday, I have nothing to do. So I've been watching Jamie Overland because he creates some fabulous woodland images from this area. And he lives local and he works the area and he probably knows it pretty much inside and out. But it's piqued my interest, so I thought I'd come down. And there I was in full flow, not a care in the world, really excited about the shots that I'd found. And this happened. There was a rumour we were going to have some mist. Now, those of you who've watched a few of my videos will know that I have a love-hate relationship, or should that be hate-hate relationship with my gimbal. But being a stubborn mare, I've stuck with it, convinced that it's me, and I'm still convinced it's me. But I was beginning to get a bit miffed with this. And then to add insult to injury, the video camera packed up. Now, luckily, I have two phones that I use to record video on, plus I have the GoPro, plus I have my personal phone. My camera phones that I use are my old ones because I'm on a contract, so I tend to gather them and keep hold of them. So then the video camera packed up, which is why you'll see a bit of a difference in the colour of the video. Well, there was a rumour we were going to get mist and fog this morning, so I thought, well, why not? We'll come down and have a look. It's only an hour and a bit from my dad's place. No mist, no fog, and no light. We've got murky, overcast over here, which is great because it means the light is still soft, and we've got bright blue sky and sunshine over there. So it's more of a recce visit today. And I think I'm falling in love with the place. I can certainly see what Jamie sees in this place, and I've only been here half an hour. I've walked 500 yards from the car and I've found four trees that immediately attracted my attention. The first one I've seen is this little beauty here. And there I was again, battling on, and this happened. Small birch. And he's just got the remainder of his leaves on in autumnal colours. The background is quite dark and he's quite a way off from the background. So by shooting at f2.8, 1/400th of a second, I've managed to blur the background slightly more, isolate him slightly more from the background, and still keep the leaves sharp because we've got a bit of a breeze. The second image that I saw, I haven't got my glasses on, so I'm squinting. There's a tree around here somewhere. It's there, look. I think that's him. And he curves over to the right in quite an old, decrepit way. If that's possible. The background is quite light, so it's quite a difficult one to meter for. So I've metered off the silver birch to bring the exposure down, because I want some detail in that. I'm really not sure about that one. I've kept it at 2.8 to isolate him even more from the background, but I'm really not sure about that one. And then finally, over here, oh, there he is. Now that is beautiful in fog and mist, or even with some soft sunlight beaming through the clouds. He would be phenomenal. Old and gnarly and stretching out in all different shapes and directions. Fabulous. What they're going to look like when I get them on the big screen is another matter. Sometimes what you see on the camera doesn't work when you get it on the big screen, but we'll have a look. As I say, this is more of a recce visit. I want to come down here more often. It's an hour and a half from home, so that's not out of the question to do fairly regularly, to get to know the place in different weathering conditions, in differing weather conditions. So in lovely soft sunlight, in snow, in... And as if that wasn't enough, the mic then decided to pack in. Now this was the second mic. I deleted the first bit where the mic failed because I recorded a huge piece to camera. It didn't record any of it. In sun, in snow, in fog, in rain, in fog, in mist, in fog. You get the idea. I'm going to carry on. I'm looking for some smaller details to shoot today rather than the bigger picture. And if I find some, I'll put the macro on and we'll have a play with that. But by this point, I was rapidly losing the will to live and I was getting frustrated. I wasn't concentrating. I couldn't articulate my words. So I decided to do a bit of B-roll. And even that went wrong because the first section of B-roll I did, I'd completely forgotten that the sun was coming in behind me. So my shadow was absolutely slap bang in the middle of the video screen. I'd found this area of beautiful rushes and I'd recorded a little bit of B-roll showing you some close-ups. It was a little bit difficult because there was a breeze blowing. The video camera packed in again. And by this point I'm thinking, I really don't want to do this. I really can't go through this grief. And if I'd had my sensible head on and been thinking straight, I would have gone, stop. Concentrate on the photos, scout it out, take some phone snaps so you know where you are, where you want to be. You can locate the places or the trees that you want to shoot again. And just spend the day moseying around, forget the video. But being Mrs. Pig-headed, I didn't, I battled on. This next clip took me 5 attempts to record. And I ended up just using the GoPro, which is why you can barely hear me and there's lots of wind noise. I've been wandering around for about an hour now. Partly because I'm lost, but I'm just looking at things and there's compositions everywhere in the right conditions. But I'm looking for more intimate images because we've now got bright blue sky, quite harsh sunlight, no cloud cover, and we've got a breeze, which isn't helping. Now I've walked up this path about 4 times and each time I've seen these seed heads and I'm thinking, something is there. And on the other side of the path there's a massive clump of them. So I've gone portrait orientation and I have isolated a clump. I focused on the one at the very front, which is dark, or darker than the others. I'm at f2.8. I've then gone to 1/4000th of a second, not a shutter speed I would ever normally use. That is allowing me to freeze the action because the wind is blowing. It's allowing me to darken the background down considerably So I have a layered image, and I'm thinking of a square crop. I have a dark seed head at the front, which is shown off more because the background is brighter. The seed heads at the back of the image are very soft and out of focus because I'm at f2.8, and then I have a really dark background which I'll make slightly darker in post. I really like that image. As I say, I'm thinking square crop. The sunlight is really making those creamy yellow colours pop into a goldeny cream colour. Really, really works well, I believe, that one. Now I'm going to chase a backlit fern that is green, surrounded by the darker bracken or the darker ferns that have died off. It amazes me that you've got a mass of dark, musty, dusty brown coloured ferns which have died off, and then every now and then you get a bright green one which is still healthy and living. Nature's amazing, isn't she? But I can fully see why Jamie loves this place, and now that I've discovered it's only an hour and a half from home, I will be back again. Let's carry on wandering for a bit. Do you ever have one of those mornings where you think, it just isn't happening? Well, I'm calling it a day because I found myself trying to take photos of things that just weren't there. Various reasons, not least because of my socks. I know that sounds odd. I bought some new socks. Not cheap ones, they were £17 for a pair, and they just fall down. So they're rucking up under my soles of my feet, making it darned uncomfortable to walk. So it's come to a bit of an abrupt end, I'm afraid. I will aim to be back at the coast fairly soon. I feel the need to get some sea air, get those ions going around my body again, and maybe that'll make me feel a bit better. So thanks for sticking with me. Sorry that this week hasn't been up to par. Hopefully normal service will be resumed next weekend. So I'm going to have some breakfast, a cup of tea, and head off to see Mother Dearest. Look after yourselves. See you next weekend. Bye! Now what I ought to do if I was Mrs. Sensible is keep all the bad bits and put together a bloopers roll at the end of the year, but instinct says just delete it, get it off the phone. It just makes my life easier when I'm processing if I don't have to trawl through 35 clips that really didn't work and that Jeremy Beadle would be quite pleased with. You tend to see, and I'm fairly certain I speak for most photographers who do YouTube vlogs, not the guys who are at the top of the game with, I don't know, 50,000 subs upwards. Everyone has bloopers, and it can get really, really frustrating, especially when you're in a new location. You really want to show it at its best, and it just doesn't work. But I should keep them and show them as a bloopers roll, but maybe it'll happen this year. Maybe that's my New Year's resolution. I did manage to capture some images, which I'm eternally grateful for, because after the frustrations of Mike's videos and gimbals failing, I wasn't really concentrating. My head wasn't in it at all. But I managed to get a few images, not images that I'd expected to get. As I say, if I'm in that situation again where every piece of equipment is just failing, I should just chuck it all in a bag, chuck it back in the van and go, forget it. But it's a learning curve. Every day is a learning curve. I'll pop the images up next. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next Sunday.